Yo, man, what's good to you, man? It's your boy, McKenna, a.k.a. Mr. Nappy Hair Boy. Today, man, look, like, subscribe, and share, man. Y'all see from the title what we got here, man. Let's get into it.
Prime Mike Tyson and think, why don't we see anyone fight like this anymore? We've seen knockout artists, we've seen pressure fighters, we've seen guys with speed, power, and aggression. The peekaboo style was supposed to be a revolution. It turned Tyson into an unstoppable force, a human wrecking ball. But after him, it just vanished. No elite heavyweight has successfully used it since. So what happened? Was it too risky, too demanding, or was Tyson the only fighter who could ever make it work? Welcome to Back to Boxing.
What was that one Mexican boxer? His name was Pitbull Cruz. Doesn't Pitbull Cruz does like stuff like that?
Understand the peekaboo style. To find the answer, we have to go back to the origins of the style, back to the mind of the man who created it, not just a trainer but a genius, a man named Cus D'Amato. In the 1950s, D'Amato was facing a problem. He had talented fighters, but they lacked the height and reach advantages of their opponents. He needed a system that would allow shorter fighters to get inside on taller opponents without getting picked apart. He didn't just want a style about throwing punches, he wanted to make an opponent completely powerless. He believed traditional boxing had weaknesses, too predictable, too slow. He wanted something new, something revolutionary. A style built on head movement so sharp you couldn't be touched, footwork so explosive you could get in and out in an instant.
So pretty much you need a coach that can do that, like a coach that can do that type of boxing, the peekaboo style boxing. Is he saying like, why nobody? Maybe you need like a coach that can teach somebody how to do that. You can do that peekaboo, you know what I'm saying, type of fighting. I feel like taller fighters wouldn't do that, you know what I'm saying, because they have the reach. They can just hit people with the jab. I feel like shorter fighters can probably use that. I don't know if that's going to be even a style today. Who really knows? I mean, maybe somebody in the future could copy that and make it even better than what Mike Tyson did. You know what I mean?
Combinations so fast your opponent didn't have time to react. And most importantly, a style that didn't rely on height or reach. This was the birth of peekaboo boxing. Unlike conventional boxing where fighters stood tall and measured their punches, peekaboo was built on constant motion. It was all about bobbing and weaving under punches. D'Amato's first great success with this style? Floyd Patterson. In 1956, Patterson became the youngest heavyweight champion at just 21 years old, a record later broken by Tyson. But at 6'0" and around 190 pounds, Patterson was small for a heavyweight. The peekaboo style let him close the distance, slip punches, and explode with lightning-fast combinations. Jose Torres also used elements of the style to become light heavyweight champion in 1965. He added his own Latin flair, fluid upper body movement mixed with the high guard.
Bro, to be fighting in 1965, damn near 1950. What was you born in 1910s? 1920s? The 1930s? Oh, I don't even know, to be honest. When there was no internet, no social media, no nothing. It was, you know what I mean? Back then, you know exactly what I'm trying to say.
But while Patterson and Torres found success, neither of them perfected the style the way D'Amato's final protege would. Because in 1979, a 13-year-old troubled youth named Mike Tyson was introduced to Cus D'Amato, and no one could have predicted that this partnership would create one of the most feared fighters in boxing history. Tyson was the perfect vessel for the peekaboo style. His natural attributes complemented the fighting system in ways D'Amato could only have dreamed of. Exceptional hand speed, rarely seen in heavyweights. Devastating punching power, thrown from unique angles. Extraordinary neck strength for unreal head movement. Explosive leg power for closing distance in an instant. A naturally low center of gravity at just 5'10". D'Amato became Tyson's legal guardian and molded him from the ground up. Every single day was dedicated to perfecting the peekaboo system, drilling it into his muscle memory until it became second nature. And the results spectacular. By the time Tyson turned pro in 1985, he had transformed into an offensive and defensive masterpiece. His style was the peekaboo taken to its logical...
To go to pro and be an offense and defensive masterpiece is insane. To be that going to pro, being an offensive and defensive, like, ooh, what? You know how crazy that is to be that and going to pro, barely turning pro?
Extreme, a system designed for total domination. But then tragedy struck. D'Amato passed away in November 1985, just as Tyson's professional career was taking off.
R.I.P., man.
But the foundation he built, it turned Tyson into an unstoppable force. But now, let's break down exactly what made Tyson's version of the peekaboo so effective. First, the defensive posture. Unlike traditional boxing stances where the lead hand is extended, Tyson kept both gloves high beside his face. This created a tight, bulletproof defensive shell, protecting him from straight punches while still allowing him to see his opponent, hence peekaboo. Second, constant motion. Tyson's head was never in the same place for more than a split second. He would weave, bob, slip and roll, making himself an impossible target while relentlessly moving forward. Third, the footwork. Tyson didn't bounce or circle like most boxers. He used what D'Amato called shifting, a subtle but deadly transfer of weight, allowing him to launch hooks from either side with maximum power, no matter his foot position.
I mean, I don't know, people. I don't know, somebody can... You think somebody can copy that? I don't know. Maybe, but it's like, you have to really, you really have to do that every day to craft that, to where your feet like this, boom, Tyson motion, like your head is not paused and this ain't nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like Tyson was like right here. Ooh, I don't know. I don't really know, to be honest.
Fourth, the angles. By dipping to the sides while moving forward, Tyson created punching angles that most opponents had never encountered. His famous right hook to the body, followed by a right uppercut to the head, thrown from an angle few fighters could ever defend against. And finally, the explosive entry. Tyson didn't just walk his opponents down. He would suddenly close the distance with a burst of speed that gave opponents no time to adjust. He would slip a jab and counter before his opponent could even reset. This deadly combination of techniques created a fighting style that was both defensively sound and offensively devastating, a perfect storm of boxing science. But perhaps the most overlooked aspect of Tyson's peekaboo style, its psychological impact. The sight of Tyson, muscles rippling, gloves high, bobbing and weaving as he relentlessly stalked forward, had many opponents beaten before the first punch was even thrown. This intimidation factor? It was intentional. D'Amato believed fighting was 75% psychological, and he trained Tyson to be the embodiment of...
It's also mental too. If you can get somebody in somebody's head, you already won the fight, because mentally, they're not there, I promise you. If you get the mentally part, you won.
The black trunks. The refusal to wear socks. The lisp, juxtaposed with violent threats. Everything about Tyson was designed to unnerve opponents before they ever stepped into the ring. And when you combine that with the defensive security and offensive explosiveness of the peekaboo style, it created a fighter who seemed unbeatable. But no fighter stays on top forever. When Tyson lost to Buster Douglas in 1990, one of boxing's greatest upsets, the first cracks in the peekaboo armor appeared. Without D'Amato's guidance after his death in 1985, Tyson had slowly been moving away from the pure peekaboo style that made him champion. His personal troubles, his chaotic marriage to Robin Givens, his conviction, and his imprisonment in 1992 took him away from boxing during what should have been his prime years. By the time Tyson returned to the ring in 1995, he was still dangerous, but he was no longer the same fighter. The head movement, less consistent. The defensive shell, not as tight. The perfect technique, gone, replaced by more straightforward power punching. Then came the losses. Holyfield in 96 and 97, the infamous ear-biting incident. Lennox Lewis in 2002. These fights confirmed what many had suspected. The peekaboo style that once made Tyson invincible had disappeared. But now here's the question. If the peekaboo style was so effective for Tyson, why didn't more fighters use it? The answer? First, the conditioning. insane levels of stamina.
Oh, really? Yeah, like to do that for 12 rounds, stamina conditioning, that's gonna get you tired quick. Like people can probably do it, but will they? Probably not. You know what I mean? Just because of the way, you know what I'm saying, you gotta keep moving. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Were required. It wasn't just about slipping punches, it was about constant movement, staying low, launching explosive attacks. Heavyweights typically rely on size and reach, but the peekaboo forced a fighter to fight small, stay in motion, and get inside. Most just didn't have the reflexes or the gas tank to keep that up for 12 rounds. Then, boxing changed. The modern heavyweight division favors taller fighters who control distance with the jab. The rise of upright, technically sound boxers, especially from the Eastern European school, made peekaboo less practical. Against these fighters, a peekaboo boxer would have to work twice as hard just to get inside without getting caught. And perhaps the biggest problem? The trainers. After Customato's death, after the fading influence of his disciples like Teddy Atlas and Kevin Rooney, the knowledge of the peekaboo system started to fade. Without the right training, even the most talented fighters couldn't execute it at the highest level. But the biggest reason? Mike Tyson was one of a kind.
Yep.
He had the perfect mix: explosiveness, speed, power, and aggression. His short height, perfect for peekaboo. His quick footwork, unmatched. His devastating counterpunching, deadly. Even if another fighter tried to use it, they would never be able to replicate his effectiveness. While the pure peekaboo style might have disappeared from championship boxing, you can see elements of it in fighters like Dwight Muhammad Qawi, and more recently, fighters like David Tua, who adopted aspects of the high guard and head movement. In the lighter weight classes, fighters like Timothy Bradley have used modified versions of peekaboo, combining the high guard with more lateral movement, making it work for their style. Even Canelo Alvarez, though not a peekaboo fighter, has mastered the shifting technique that allows him to throw hooks from either side with maximum...
People probably haven't done the full peekaboo, but they probably took elements and pieces from that type of style and element into their gaming. You know what I mean?
Power, regardless of foot position, a direct influence from D'Amato's teachings. And in gyms across the world, trainers still teach elements of the peekaboo style. For shorter fighters who need to close the distance against taller opponents, the principles of the style remain sound, even if the complete package has become a historical curiosity. But the story of the peekaboo style is ultimately the story of Mike Tyson himself, a brilliant yet fleeting moment in boxing history, a style that burned too brightly to sustain. Like jazz music, like certain architectural movements, the peekaboo style represents a specific moment in time, when the right teacher found the right student and created something that changed their field forever. Could we ever see another pure peekaboo stylist rise to heavyweight championship status? It seems unlikely. The sport,
I mean, probably not. But you never know. You never know.
Has evolved.
You never
the
know.
athletes have changed, and the perfect storm of circumstances that created Tyson may never be replicated. But that doesn't diminish what Cus D'Amato and Mike Tyson accomplished. They created a style that, for a brief moment in the late 1980s, seemed to have solved the puzzle of heavyweight boxing. And even though the style may have disappeared, the legend of the peekaboo and the terrifying fighter who perfected it will live forever in boxing lore. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about that?
Anyways, man, that is it for the video. Y'all let me know what you think down below. Hey, man, could come back.